Hello, friends, and welcome to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Today we find ourselves on our void ship, doing a little bit of exploring before heading back to Footfall so we can speak with the Governor Vladame and we can get into the area that was blocked off to us from before. This is Disabled. My name is Ed, and let's get into it. So let's head back to the Expanse map. And where are we currently? That is Janus. We've got a couple of places we've been there. Let's go here if we can. It is unsafe, but that's okay. We'll take it. Lord Captain, I keep receiving reports about malfunctions among the various ship systems. This time we are dealing with inexplicable temperature fluctuations. Thermal control failures were observed not only in individual compartments, but even in the soldiers' protective equipment. Several crew members have suffered from burns and frostbite. The tech priests are performing the rites of machine spirit pacification and remain convinced that the issues were caused by the spirit's obstinacy and defiance. Their reports claim the incidents remain well within the scope of expected performance parameters. Over the last few days, complaints about the malfunctioning thermal controls have dwindled, but the crew members have started whispering that our vessel is haunted. The tech priest's assurances that only the machine spirit's tempers are to blame are doing nothing to dissuade these ridiculous rumors. Well, that was uncomfortable. Sauerback, how could you have let this happen? An assassination attempt upon the rogue trader in his own chambers, right under the noses of your enforcers? A fierce growl rumbles deep in Abelard's throat. The Master-at-Arms radiates grim fury. Her eyes are dark, her lips pursed. With a practiced hand, she removes the maul from her belt and offers it to you. An unforgivable error. I accept full responsibility and ask for due punishment. I want an explanation, Sourback, not vain self-chastisement. Put that weapon away and report. Sourback hesitates for a moment before putting the maul away. Understood, Lord Captain. Reporting. All adjacent decks have been isolated. We have begun our search for the culprit and have set up investigation headquarters on the officer's deck. The substance has been analyzed and confirmed to be blood containing traces of major mutations. While it poses no risk of infection to your lordship, the very presence of such genetic aberration on board is a serious threat to the safety of the ship and must be addressed promptly. Once word of this gets out, many among the crew will surely see it as a brazen challenge to your status as rogue trader. Genetic aberration? What are you talking about? The heresy of mutation. Mutants are vicious beasts who sow only ruin and death. They are devoid of all humanity, and the vile blood that runs through their veins feeds their unclean thoughts and urges. Numerous accounts speak of entire colonies falling prey to bloody uprisings staged by these creatures, all because their governors were too squeamish to order genetic purges. You don't say! I wonder why somebody we don't consider human and exterminate by the thousands would think to revolt. What a crazy mystery! Alas, the Imperium's enemies are not limited only to those outside its borders. Mutants can become a considerable threat, especially when given the chance to organize. The heretics have revealed themselves and are eager to fight. Then fight we shall. Let the vessel be purged of their filth. Could this have been an assassination attempt? Then they would have filled the bath with acid or poison instead. There are easier ways to kill someone than drowning them in blood, foul as that blood may be. I beg to differ. Were something of this sort to happen to me, my heart would surely stop. What do you intend to do next? As one, every enforcer present gets on their knees. Lord Captain, this incident has cast a shadow on our honor. We only ask for one thing, a chance to absolve ourselves of our guilt. Allow me to head to the officer's deck at once, so I may lead the investigation personally. Lord Captain, on a previous occasion it was your intervention that resolved a matter that my own rigidity had only succeeded in making worse. With all due respect to Mistress Sourback, perhaps she would benefit from your fresh perspective. Seneschal, do you think so little of me that you would rob me of a chance to defend my honor? I am curious to see the Master-at-Arms in action. I will preside over the investigation. Of course, Lord Captain. I will arrange for an area befitting your status to be prepared on the officer's deck. Okay, interesting. And I cannot return to the map right now either, so okie dokie roo. Where am I supposed to go, yo? We kind of need to speak to everyone anyway. We have a mission we're doing with that. Let's talk to some folks like Vigdis here about any potential issues with leaving a message or a confession. Remember, we had the confession thing. We never actually talked to our crew members about that. A thin, pale woman stands out among the rest of the crew. There is a thick bundle of cables coming out of the back of her skull and disappearing under her ceremonial garment, and you see the grate of a quietly humming vox where her mouth should be. The woman sees you and bows her head in a respectful greeting. How may I serve you, Lord Captain? The lop-eared Kleppers. The confession. I assume you heard my confessional message, Vigdis replies without a hint of awkwardness. Do you wish to talk about it? The important question is why. I was fault-checking the Vox devices in the ship's reliquary. Message recording works, but deletion does not. You have helped me establish that. Thank you. Wait, why lop-eared Kleppers specifically? At that time, I had nothing to repent of, so I dictated an excerpt from an old letter to my mother. As you heard, it contained arguments in favor of keeping lop-eared Kleppers on the ship. I can still recite it from memory. Vigdis, I want a pair of Kleppers aboard the ship. I am going to quote my mother's response. That is impossible. You see, the species went extinct several centuries ago. Vigdis's voice grows ever so slightly warmer. I am very sorry, Lord Captain. There aren't any Kleppers to be had. Your confession perplexed the initiate. Find a way to delete it, and we shall forget about it. Will do, Lord Captain. Would you like to discuss other matters? That will be all for now. I live to serve, Lord Captain. Alright, well, we solved that. One of the mysteries there. Who else do we have to speak to? Letard Forius. I do not know that I know who that is. A man of indeterminate age bows his head. His robes are spotless, and his rigid collar constricts his throat. The unsettling smell of medicine hangs in the air, and the man's pale eyes look bleached. Greetings, your lordship. Your chirurgeon majoris is at your service. Have you made a confession lately? I do not make confessions, your lordship. My faults are diseases for which a cure is yet to be discovered, and mortal wounds that can be remedied only by new methods of the chirurgeon's craft. Why confess when one should be searching for a solution? For this reason, I choose to spend my time on work that pleases the Emperor, not on words. That will be all. Alright. Check, check. Let's check with Master Helmsman Raybor, shall we? There he is. Master Helmsman, sir. The tall man before you appears to be woven from tendons and muscle. Blue veins snake under his white, almost dove-colored skin, and his scalp and chin are covered in cropped white hair. His neck and shoulders are wrapped in wires that hint at the presence of neural connectors under his uniform. The officer's face seems to be twisted in a perpetual grimace of annoyance and anger, but he greets you with a respectful nod. Lord Cotton! Master Helmsman Raybor, at your service. Have you made a confession lately? No, I'm up to my connectors and work as it is. The orphans on the ship have already been provided with the bare essentials, have they not? The helmsman scratches the back of his head thoughtfully. Damned if I know, Lord Cotton. If you ask me, our orphans have it worlds better than they would on other ships. Why are some destined to perish in the warp, while others must go on living? Those some weren't trying hard enough or listening to their higher-ups is all. Or has someone you know died on ya, and I'm supposed to offer my sympathies? Raybor grunts and looks away. Odd choice of person to come to with something like that, Lord Captain. Thank you for your answers. It was definitely not you. I'll be blast if I understand a thing you're saying, but I'm here to serve. Something else you'd like to discuss? Raybor, it has come to my attention that a fuel lever on the bridge may be defective. Can you not be trusted to carry out your duties without my personal oversight? The officer's furrowed eyebrows draw even closer together. He speaks slowly, carefully choosing his words. I most definitely can, Lord Captain. The technomats will inspect the equipment immediately. I will also deal with those in charge of it, without delay. I must take my leave. Lord Captain? Raybor acknowledges you with a nod and turns away. Okay, let's go talk to Heinrich Montag. The Infernus Master nonchalantly lights a low stick from a thermal cutter and spreads his arms in a welcoming gesture. Heinrich Montag, at your service. He smells of cinders and low. His face is sooty and his belt is laden with a number of heavy tools. You would have taken him for a laborer if it weren't for the greasy and ragged officer's uniform. Have you made a confession lately? Sounds like the start of an interesting conversation. He looks you directly in the eye. No, I have not. The orphans on the ship have already been provided with the bare essentials, have they not? The bare minimum, yes. I sometimes check in on our little ragamuffins. They don't have it easy. No parents, and they live like new recruits in an infantry regiment. Please, your lordship, do not neglect the children. Why are some destined to perish in the warp, while others must go on living? Heinrich takes a long puff, burning up half the low stick in one go. I don't know, Lord Captain. I simply don't know. Too many good men have been devoured by the damn warp, and it will never be sated. It's hard to think about it. Clearly, you prefer private confessions. You are right. I'm used to talking about important things in heart-to-heart conversations. Heinrich flashes you a genuine smile, like the one we're having right now. This is enough for now, Heinrich. Never let your fire go out, Lord Captain. I mean no. Heinrich hurriedly waves his hands. That's just a stupid little guild in-joke. Seriously, If you see an infernus next to a naked flame, run. Okay, well thank you, Heinrich. That was something. Alright, we've talked to Vigdis, Letard. Let's see. Rogue, Trader Cogitator. Let's see about Jocasta Sourback. Jocasta Sourback is the very picture of discipline. Her uniform is exquisitely pressed, her armor is polished, and her posture is imposing and rigid. The only flaw in her immaculate appearance is the heavy enforcer's maul, which is worn and battered from frequent use. She salutes you with a practiced motion. Greetings, Lord Captain! Okay, we can't ask her about the proud to serve the dynasty. We can't ask her. Who else we got? High Factotum. Which is here. Have you made a confession lately? Your lordship, you are truly masterful at springing unexpected questions on a man. However, I must admit I don't quite understand this one. Why are some destined to perish in the war, while others must go on living? A philosophical question. I imagine it is due to a complicated mix of experience, luck, and most of all the Emperor's favor. The orphans on the ship have already been provided with the bare essentials, have they not? The factotum fidgets nervously with the rings on his fingers until he musters the courage to reply. I will not pry into how your lordship found out about my confession. I suppose it raised some questions for you. You have a good heart, it seems. I am surprised. As am I, to tell the truth. Sensitivity is a vice and one responsible for ensuring the dynasty's prosperity. However, I cannot help it, which is why I unburden my soul in confession. You're not scheming to misappropriate funds for the orphan's benefit, are you? Please, no scheming. Everything is truly and duly accounted for. We have high priority expenditure items, which is why the orphans only get the bare necessities. Janrus sighs heavily. They are clothed and aren't starving, but for some reason I find scant comfort in rational arguments. Personal items, gifts on special occasions, or Nutribars for their growing bodies would certainly make the little orphans happier. I am willing to allocate extra resources to provide for the orphans. I marvel at your generosity. Will there be any specific instructions, your lordship? I trust you with this matter. Spend as much as you deem necessary. The factotum's eyes glisten sentimentally. The children will know that you are their benefactor. As for me, I can assure you that I will find ways to procure enough funds to cover these expenses. Have you heard the name Fiery Reckoning? From what I can tell, it's a void ship of some sort. There was a mention of it in one of Theodora's documents I found. Janrus thinks a moment, pursing his lips in concentration. I'm afraid it is not immediately familiar to me, your lordship. Please allow me just a moment. He starts rapidly tapping on the screen of his data slate. I say, House von Valancius did indeed sign a contract with the owners of a vessel with the designation Fiery Reckoning. There are transactions, records of the ship picking up cargo from Kiava Gamma, and, well, this is odd. The data log ends there. Apparently, the ship had some interactions with one of the workshops on your industrial world. I beg your pardon, your lordship, But that is the extent of the assistance I can provide you in regard to this particular matter. Enough questions for now. I shall return later. I shall await your instructions, Lord Captain. Well, we have solved 2 of the confession problems. We need 1 more. And we've spoken to everyone. Unless the cogitator can do a confession. I don't think it would be one of our companions, but I don't know. Let's go see what we need to view for Jocasta here. Let's pop over to the Void Ship Shrine. Oh. We'll take our whole team, I guess. I wonder if Confessor Adalbert made a confession. Tell me, Adalbert, do you visit the Shrine Confessional to repent as the other officers do?
Why, I always find time for penance on my morning and evening shifts, your lordship.
Why are some destined to perish in the warp, while others must go on living?
An irrelevant question.
His face takes on an expression of fathomless wisdom and calm.
Our fates are in the Emperor's hands, and he does as his plans require.
I see. It wasn't you.
For a moment I thought you had come to confess, but now I see you have taken on the role of cleric yourself. May the Emperor guide you on your quest for answers.
I must take my leave.
May the Emperor's blessing be with your lordship.
Okay. Well, that wasn't helpful.
Keep your wits about you.
Officer's deck is where we need to go, but before I do that, let's go to the Astropathic Chapel. Try it there. We've already talked to all the officers on the bridge, so there's got to be somebody in one of these other rooms, right? Interesting. Your lordship, to what do I owe the honor of your visit? Have you made a confession lately? The choir master replies, slightly perplexed. I beg your lordship's pardon. Why are some destined to perish in the warp, while others must go on living? How odd. He grimaces as though with pain. Odd that you should have listened to my confession. Odd that you should choose to approach me after. Why? I felt there was anguish in that confession. I wanted to help. My confession made you anxious on my account, resulting in a waste of time. I apologize. Thank you.
Death always keeps close to astropaths, and its punishments for arrogance and weaknesses are severe. I have seen my fellows die, and at times the memories are exceedingly hard to bear. Sadly, almost every choir has a story like that, and a survivor who has carried their ghost with them ever since.
Wise lets out a ragged breath. My apologies, but I cannot continue worrying at these old wounds. Directing a choir requires a clear and firm state of mind. We will speak later, choir master. I have business to attend to. Goodbye, your lordship. Okay. How very melodious of you, choir master.
Rise to the top or get left in the dust.
To the officer's deck. Oh, full group. Uh-oh, we're gonna have to fight somebody at the officer's deck? Oh, I needed to return to that cleric. We'll do that later. Sourback barks at the officers gathered before you. His lordship, the rogue trader, has seen fit to honor us with his presence in order to monitor the course of the investigation. You are expected to perform your duties immaculately and report your every step to me. Should any of your actions bring shame to the enforcers, you will answer to me personally. Lord Captain, the 3 officers before you have been tasked with conducting the investigation. The first, Captain Klein, is a veteran with a record of quelled uprisings of mutant abominations in the colonies. Captain Ginevri is young, but she's already preempted several mutinies among the ship's rabble. Lastly, there is Captain Rotko. His interrogation skills deserve credit, and he knows how to instill fear and respect firmly in the minds of the riffraff. You notice the enforcers exchange a few astounded glances and throw their shoulders back. Apparently they are not used to standing so close to figures as renowned as you. I cannot help but notice all the looks. Is my presence going to distract you from your duties? On the contrary, your lordship. Your presence inspires us. Captain Ginevri's cheeks redden. Your lordship, I hope you do not take this as insolence, but I am a great admirer of yours. I've read the fictionalized account of your deeds many times. According to my data repository, the term fictionalized is typically applied to text whose knowledge dissemination potential is negative. So they write stories about me, do they? Of course! I have it right here! She offers you a worn tome with a somewhat embellished portrait of you on the cover. Leave your signature on the end sheet. May it remind you of this meeting. Ginevri accepts the tome gingerly, as if it were a relic touched by the Emperor himself. Sourback's murderous glare silences Ginevri's frantic expressions of gratitude. Does that take care of the pleasantries? Then let us return to the attempt on the Lord Captain's life. What are your findings thus far? We have discovered a worker's corpse, mutilated and desiccated. We're still looking into the man's identity and position, but the Churgeon's report has confirmed that, among all the blood pumped into your bath chamber, the blood-carrying mutations was indeed his. The workers from the nearby decks have all been checked for genetic aberration, but the mutations identified are all within the norm for laboring masses. They're being rounded up for interrogation as we speak. Irliette frowns as she surveys the deck. So much noise and empty violence. I'm surprised you're able to find anything in this pandemonium of your own making. Even taking into account the neighboring decks only, that constitutes hundreds of people. How do you plan to question them all? Our interrogation techniques are broad and varied. However, nothing loosens the tongue like corporal punishment. Beatings, mutilations, torture, public execution. Sourback almost purrs as she lists ways of making people suffer. When combined with psychological pressure, such methods work wonders. So torture is very good at getting the victim to give an answer, but not good at extracting true information. So it is inhumane. I order that you immediately cease using these barbaric methods. Lord Captain, these methods may be brutal, but their effectiveness has been proven over centuries of practice. No criminal will confess if you ask them politely, but if you shatter their finger and courteously remind them how many unshattered bones they still have left in their body, that's a different conversation altogether. That is how the truth is born. I have faith that my master-at-arms is capable of finding other methods of seeking out the truth. Sourback's glove creaks as she grips her maul. Her gaze remains cold and calm. As you command, Lord Captain. Do you have any working theories? The mutants are plotting, Klein spits in disgust. They've been breeding like void rats, so they're getting cocky. Must have wanted to infect your lordship with their plague. It wasn't an attempt on the Lord Captain's life. It was a threat. The rabble are planning a revolt, so they're trying to terrorize us. Soon you will drown in blood. Insurgents pride themselves on such metaphors.
Meanwhile, Captain Rotko is convinced it was the work of Voigtvir's surviving cultists. However, I believe this to be a warning rather than a threat. What we need to establish is who's trying to warn us and what they are trying to warn us of.
Interesting hypothesis, but I doubt it is that simple. Mistress Salvac, grant me access to the investigative files. I have my own thoughts on what is going on here.
The Master-at-Arms nods coldly.
Of course, Master Interrogator.
What do you propose we investigate first?
The body. Once we've ascertained the dead man's identity, we'll be able to locate his associates and narrow down the number of suspects. Captain Klein is in charge of examining the corpse.
Yes, your lordship. I'm almost done with my report. As soon as it's ready, I'll deliver it to you.
Then let us begin. While we wait for Klein to report back, please enjoy the refreshments that have been prepared for you, Lord Captain. Captain Klein snaps to attention.
Identifying the victim is proven impossible. His face has been smashed in, and his body is badly maimed. There are too many wounds to determine the exact cause of death, but presumably he died after the killer slit his throat. That's how they drained his blood. No external signs of mutation were found.
In other words, we have nothing. Klein, this isn't a report, it's a declaration of our incompetence before the Lord Captain. You will keep digging around inside that corpse until you've produced some results. No external signs of mutation, you say. What about internal signs?
Performing an autopsy was, well, inadvisable, due to the danger of contaminating the area with genetic aberration.
Awareness test succeeded. You see a flash of genuine horror in Klein's eyes before his gaze turns glassy. You've seen that look before in the eyes of other veterans. It's the expression of someone reliving painful memories that have left behind deep scars. They cannot hope to overcome such trauma on their own. They would need help, or a partner, or perhaps some strong emotional stimulus. Study the enforcers' faces. Ginevri looks at Klein with sympathy. She clearly cares about him, but does not wish to trample on her comrade's honor with words of comfort. Rotko regards Klein with a contemptuous smirk, while Klein scowls back at him. I have heard that Medicae officers often perform autopsies in pairs. One cuts up the body, the other records the findings. You should get a partner, Klein. According to regulations, one enforcer is required for this duty. However, your lordship's proposal is reasonable. Did you have someone specific in mind? So we know that Rotko and Klein do not get along, so he would probably just needle the man. So we'll go with Ginevri. Ginevri would be an excellent choice. You catch Ginevri's grateful look, then watch as she smiles encouragingly at Klein. Come on, Klein. You'd better teach the greenhorns how to cover up mutants. I'll grab us a pair of respirators to make sure we don't catch anything. Klein is up to his elbows in blood, his eyes flaring defiantly.
I've examined the filth inside and out. Its innards are a genetic nightmare. It's a bag of corruption wrapped in human skin. Extra organs, scales, atrophied ingrown limbs, but none of that's what's important. The body was disfigured posthumously. They killed the mutant with surgical precision before opening his throat and draining his blood. It wasn't until after the actual murder that they crushed his head and tried to cover up the wounds. The wounds were so brutal I almost missed his work tattoo. The victim was a pipe warden, and I found this in his throat. Klein presents a blood-stained raven feather. A certain legend springs to your mind, one involving Saint Quirine, who was granted a portent of enemies hiding among the faithful. When Quirine prayed to the emperor for a sign that might reveal the traitors, a raven's feather burst out of her mouth to inscribe the names of the conspirators. Only someone versed in the symbology of the Imperium could have left such a message. Remember Saint Quirine. Could this be a sign? Vile mutants do not make allusions to saints.
This was someone versed in the creed. For what purpose was the corpse mutilated? Someone wanted to hide the cause of death. What I fail to understand is why they would then leave the body out in the open instead of disposing of it. It's imperative we find who mutilated the body. I concur. Would you like to give us specific instructions, Lord Captain? One cannot disfigure a body like that and stay clean. Look for any blood-stained garments, rags, or the like. Sourback nods firmly. If the perpetrator was in a hurry to cover their tracks, they may not have had time to dispose of the soiled clothing. I thank your lordship for the wise counsel. What tattoo? What do pipe wardens have to do with anything? The pipe wardens are a worker clan that services the ship's sewer systems. The tattoo indicates the worker's status and personal number. This one was SP-24601, Senior Pipe Warden. Klein, I wish to gift you a glass of amasec for your good work. You look like you need it. Klein accepts the glass and downs it instantly. Evidently, he is in no state to savor the bouquet and taste of the fine drink you've offered him. What is our next step? We should run the victim's identification number through the master worklog cogitator. If his machine spirit favors us, we'll be able to narrow down the number of suspects. Ginevri, this is your arena. Ginevri approaches you, followed by a dignified woman in crimson robes. Allow me to introduce the esteemed tech priest Androveta Phi. She believes she has the right to obstruct the investigation and refuse to grant the enforcers access to the master cogitator. The tech priest lets out an indignant Benaric trill. I request that the laywoman's willful activities be halted. She intends to torment the machine spirit of the master worklog cogitator Iota IIIB. The venerable spirit is ill and in no disposition to endure such abuse. What seems to be the problem with the machine spirit? The spirit is old and quick to anger. It therefore calls for a sensitive approach, not a torturous intrusion by a brutish laywoman. Since the start of this watch, the spirit has been unwell, so we have been trying to soothe its woes by applying sacred unguents and sensing the great machine's boards. The dogma of data recuperative quarantine prohibits any disturbances to blessed machines found to be in such a state. What exactly does this data recuperative dogma prescribe? Let no profane hand touch the sacred machine stricken. Let the mechanism be shielded from all worldly troubles by a veil of righteous litany, and let its shrine be thricely honored till the malady is no more. Judging by Ginevri's expression, she would rather have her profane hands touch Androveta Phi's neck. Pascal, how profane would you say your hands are? I am a Magos Explorator and this vessel's engineer prime. The profanity of this unit's hands, as well as the rest of its limbs, organs, and augmetics, is null. If the honored Magos supervises the laywoman's tactful interaction with the spirit, I will sanction this disturbance. Raising her hands high, Androveta Phi wails, Omnissiah preserve us! The Great Spirit was infected by a lay person. That is the culprit you should be searching for, not some pipe warden. Sacrilege! Registering a Category 3 act of sacrilege resulting in a Category Epsilon Quadro transgressive scenario, requesting the inclusion of the offender in the Registry of Wanted Entities for the purpose of expiative disposal. We have discovered that the cogitator's malfunctions began after an unauthorized attempt to access it was made. Someone deliberately angered the machine spirit in order to bury the work logs. Thankfully, the esteemed tech priest was able to appease the spirit and extract the information we needed. The victim's name was Orto. On the day he died, he was servicing valve 27B, which supplies water to the rogue trader's bath chamber. He also had a partner, who has yet to appear for duty since the incident occurred. We have a suspect. Did the murderer get to the cogitator too? Impossible. Since the start of the watch, this area has been used as the center of operations. No rabble could have slipped by unnoticed. Moreover, a common pipe warden wouldn't know how to commune with the machine spirit. The murderer had help. Who's the partner? Senior Pipe Warden Guadon, number SP26855. An 8th generation pipe warden. No registered infractions. Excellent discipline. Perfect work record. An exemplary servant of the Imperium. Master-at-Arms, how do you propose we find our new suspect? Before Sourback can respond, Rotko cuts in.
Your lordship, there was a man named Guidon among the rabble waiting to be interrogated. He immediately struck me as suspicious. Please allow me to question the man in your presence.
Sourback narrows her eyes, but all she says is, "Bring him in, now." Before you stands a gaunt man in work clothes. His face is swollen from the bruises, and several of his fingers are broken and sticking out at odd angles. He stares vacantly into the distance with watery eyes. Pretty sure I told them not to do that.
Start talking, you miserable wretch. You tried to kill the Lord Captain, didn't ya?
Rotko grabs the worker by the lapels. Guidon's coat flies open, revealing crude occult symbols painted all over his body.
What's this? Heretical brands? Cultist scum!
Guidon yells, baring what remains of his teeth.
Yes, it was me! I tried to put a curse on the Lord Captain. I killed my partner in a wicked ritual, rubbed elbows with them demons, consorted with them, all to carry out a dark plot and doom the Lord Captain for the glory of my almighty master.
He bursts into a fit of hysterical, theatrical cackling. We have ourselves a model cultist here. There is a ritual, a curse, and a plot. He even consorted with them demons. How kind of him to confess to all that immediately. His words. He's trying to paint them over with fake garish hues, but his abject terror carries with it too much black and gray. What does he hope to accomplish with this?
He's admitted to everything, the vermin. I have insisted time and again that the assassination attempt was carried out by one of Voigtvir's surviving henchmen, and I was right. I guess we weren't so thorough in clearing them out as we thought.
Rotko casts a sharp look at Sourback. Assess the enforcer's reaction to the confession. Rotko looks proud and self-important. Ginevri is biting her nail as if hesitant to say anything. Sourback is observing the worker in silence, apparently sunk deep in thought. Meanwhile, Klein merely stands still with a distrustful grimace on his face. Other than Rotko, no one here seems to believe that you're looking at the true culprit. Has he been beaten? I ordered the beatings be stopped.
My apologies, your lordship. This one was interrogated before your order was given. I will take responsibility for not anticipating it.
Why is it giving me persuasion options to push the investigation as being completed? That's interesting. Or am I trying to get Jocasta to disagree with me? I don't know. I'm going to use the option because I don't understand why it's here. I clearly recognize that this guy isn't what he says he is. So why am I don't know. We're going to go. Expertly done. Ginevri, you have much to learn from Rotko. Wouldn't you agree, Jocasta? Sourback glances at Ginevri with curiosity. Ginevri, do you concur with the Lord Captain? Have you anything to say about this expert display? There is one thing that's bothering me. Ginevri points at the symbols on the worker's body. Guidon, what are those marks all over you?
These are my cultist marks, so I can put curses on people and talk to the demons.
He pokes a finger at an uneven semicircle with 9 arrows coming out of it.
This one's called the Hame of Terror. It represents the 9 archdemons. I always pray to each one first thing in the morning.
There is no such symbol. It's supposed to be a circle with 8 arrows, and there's no way it's called the Hame of Terror. This is some kind of travesty. Your lordship, the man is talking nonsense. Argenta sighs, shaking her head sorrowfully. God, Emperor, forgive this wayward soul his feeble-mindedness. Ginevri, where did you get your knowledge of heretical signs? I often have to deal with insidious rabble. The idleness and avarice of the scum on the lower decks breeds heresy, especially during warp travel, and people start carving signs on themselves and praying to, well, all sorts of things. The circle with 8 arrows is more common than any other symbol, but I've never seen this variation before. It seems that Klein was too quick to blame the mutants. We're dealing with demon worshippers here. Klein shakes his head morosely. My mistake, your lordship. Mutations are common among heretics. I guess this really is about a cult. Does the Master-at-Arms not find it strange that the suspect is so eager to paint himself as a heretic, and in such a preposterous fashion, no less? I agree, Lord Captain, Sourback growls at the worker. I want the truth. Who are you? And who told you to give us this pathetic confession? The man blanches and starts bawling. He gives up on his sinister theatrics and babbles in the voice of a common worker. Forgive me, your lordship. I'm not Gweedon, and I'm not a heretic. Yart's me name. I'm a laundryman. Please have mercy. They took my family. That enforcer said she'd throw 'em out the airlock if I don't confess. She made me draw these unholy marks on myself. What enforcer? Name. Give me her name. Ginevri. Her name was Ginevri. What? I swear that I have not. Ginevri? The steely edge in Sourback's voice causes everyone present to freeze, but you also hear a note of bewilderment. We will deal with her later. I will handle the search for Gweedon myself. Lord Captain, would you have us execute this demon worshipper? Execute? Truly, no word sounds sweeter to this monkey's ears. Hold on. He has lied to us more than once, and maybe he is lying to us still. Ginevri, do you have anything to say? I have never threatened his family, and I certainly did not force him to lie and draw heretical signs. I barely even remember his face. I may have interrogated him beforehand, but it was someone else who put him up to this. And yet he knows your name and pointed you out right away. Do you not find that funny? And do you not find it funny that your head's always up your arse, Rotko? It's obvious someone framed her. Cease this bickering. Sourback's snarl forces the officers to back down. Lord Captain, what we have here is a liar, and a well-coached one at that. He will never confess on his own. What do you suggest we do? We need to change our approach. Bandage his wounds and give him food. Talk to him gently and with kindness. A vein swells on Sourbeck's temple. Should we also grant him a pleasure palace in the spires of Dargonus while we are at it? Lord Captain, I doubt you will get the result you desire, but we will do everything within our power. What do you want us to do with him when we're done? Spare the man. Wash off those heretical symbols and let him rejoin his family. It will be done. There is no cause for alarm, Lord Captain. This conspirator may have been a fake, but now it is only a matter of time before we find the real culprit. We have the pipe wardens' names and identification numbers, and we know which clan they are from. We will keep pressing the riffraff until either the culprit confesses or someone turns him in. I will handle this. The Master-at-Arms pointedly grips the maul on her belt. Please enjoy your meal in the interim, Lord Captain. The scoundrel will appear before us soon enough. I am really starting to think Rotko is involved in this situation. If that's true, they're being very heavy-handed about it. You know, he's smirking and being a jerk and being an ass. But he could have easily coached the person on what to say, so I don't know. I'm thinking Rotko might be our guy. Lord Captain, the real pipe warden Gwedon has been found and is being escorted here as we speak. Are there any remaining questions you wish to address before we hear from Gwendon himself? You can start by reporting on the results of the additional investigative efforts. Absolutely, Lord Captain. Your insightful suggestion helped the enforcers to locate the evidence. In fact, we found a bloody synth coat in one of the vents, a standard issue included in every enforcer outfit on the ship. The interrogation of the detainee Yart had to be suspended. He seems to have gone mad. He just keeps mumbling that it was Ginevri who set him up to lie, and that he must therefore be set free. I doubt we'll get anything further out of him, be it with cruelty, kindness, or holy prayer. This concludes my report. Someone attempted to mislead our investigation. We cannot let this go without consequences. Undoubtedly, let us go over the facts we have on this sabotage and compile them. The body of the deceased was mutilated after death. It's likely the nature of the injuries would have proven very useful in the investigation, and that the perpetrator concealed them for that very reason. Someone sabotaged the work log cogitator so it'd be harder for us to find the victim's partner, who might have information valuable to the investigation. Instead of the murdered man's partner, we were given a fool, one who thoroughly incriminated himself first, before admitting that Captain Ginevri had put him up to it. Sourback glowers at Ginevri, and she pales with fear. Who was guarding the body? It was Ginevri. Klein reluctantly nods at his fellow enforcer. I relieved her when I came to inspect the corpse, which by then had already been cut up. Ginevri nervously adjusts her armor under Sourback's piercing gaze. The corpse was already looking like that when it came under my purview, but I could not get the name of the officer who discovered it. The deck was such a mess that I decided I'd deal with it later. A bloody synth coat was discovered not far from the corpse. I would ask the enforcers in this room to present their coats. The rustle of synthetic fabric fills the room. All the enforcers show their coats, except Rotko. He shrugs complacently under the gaze of his comrades. I do not wear it. An enforcer must be able to withstand the cold, and the serfs treat synth coats as a sign of weakness. Behind the armor of affected indifference, his thoughts ooze grimy hues, like blood mixed with umber. It looks vile. Who had access to the work log cogitator? The tech priest did not let anyone near the cogitator. They even tried to prevent the enforcer's investigation. Ginevri, were you there the entire time? Yes, ma'am, since the start of the watch. I went there right after I handed the body over to Klein. The only time I stepped away was to retrieve the data slate from my quarters. I left a watchman, but he went missing. Most likely one of the officers did not realize he was on duty, sent him off on some errand, but I was only gone a few minutes. Very convenient. A missing sentry, a data slate misplaced against regulations. Rotko drums his fingers on a holster on his belt, where his own data slate sits tightly nestled. I don't understand how I could have forgotten it. I always check my gear when I go on duty. Suspect Yart claims you coerced him into lying about himself, Ginevri. What do you have to say for yourself? I may have conducted his preliminary interrogation, like so many others. Rotko requested my assistance because of my experience in dealing with the rabble, but I swear that there is no truth to these accusations against me. I never threatened the man's family, and I certainly didn't force him to lie and draw heretical signs. I barely even remember his face. I may have interrogated him before, but it was someone else who put him up to this. The transcript says you conducted Yart's interrogation alone. Why is that? Because I can handle a single laundryman. Ginevri raises her chin proudly. Rotko, this is all you're doing, is it not? Sourbeck draws her auto pistol and points it at Rotko, who appears entirely unperturbed. I will give you one chance to retain your last shred of honor and confess. You sabotaged the investigation. Why? Is it not obvious? Rotko smugly arches an eyebrow. To expose the conspiracy myself and to prove your incompetence to his lordship. To take the place I actually deserve. For years I toiled for the good of the dynasty, but when the former master-at-arms was killed, I was refused my promotion. Instead, they gave the position to you, a self-serving sourback nit. I guess a noble name means more than talent. When the crime occurred, I realized it was my chance to show what I was worth. While you were busy dallying, I quickly learned the name of the suspect, diverted the course of the investigation, an easy enough task, and began looking for the real Guidon. Had I found him in time, your position would already be mine, Jocasta. Simply listen to yourself, and you will understand why they made me Master-at-Arms. Lord Captain, I request permission to dispose of this refuse personally. Rotko, were you really hoping to deceive the Master-at-Arms and myself? Your dismissive tone makes Rotko flinch with indignation. I had every chance, but you were shrewder than I expected. My little trick with the body did work. You still don't know who was behind it all, but I've already figured it out. I hid Guidon from you by damaging the cogitator and delivering you a fake, an idiot willing to incriminate himself out of fear. I even prepared a contingency plan in case he cracks, by making sure he would blame someone else. Yes, there were a couple of slip-ups, but you must admit it was a solid attempt overall. Why try to frame Ginevri? A backup plan. You always need someone to blame if you make a mistake. Rotko's voice sounds calm, even casual. I could have framed Klein, but that young upstart was already galloping through the ranks too fast and was clearly aiming for my station. Besides, she and her thick-witted subordinates were always right where I wanted them to be. You don't seem to fear punishment. With all due respect to your lordship, I'm an enforcer. I've looked death in the eye, and I'll accept your judgment with dignity. There is no bravado in Rotko's words, just a dry statement of fact. I don't want to make him an initiate at the shrine. I think that's stupid. I think that the final option down here should have been the iconoclast choice, because that's interesting. You're a liar and a blackguard, but I commend you for your intelligence. I have no need of such enforcers, but I could use another spy. You will sow confusion among my rivals for the good of the dynasty. Rotko's lips stretch into a thin smile. Thank you for your high praise. I'm grateful to have had this opportunity to prove my usefulness to you, albeit under unusual circumstances. Rotko remains unfailingly polite and completely ignores the seething sourback. That takes care of the traitor. Now let us proceed with interrogating the pipe warden. Why? Rotko already figured it out. He could just tell us what's going on and we would then have, all the information we need. He's working for me now, but okay, we'll do it this way. The pipe warden does his best to remain reverentially bowed, which paints a rather comical picture given his formidable height and complexion. He lowers his head, tugging at his beard. Senior Pipe Warden Guidon, honored to serve, Lord Captain. I'm ready to confess to everything. You are the real Pipe Warden Guidon, are you not? I am, and I'm proud of it, Lord Captain. A pipe warden's craft is hard work, but necessary. My number is SP26855. My work partner was the late Orto, number SP24601. I oversee the water supply systems on the upper decks, sectors A3, K8, and R2. That includes valve 27B. There can be no mistake. I have verified his identity myself. It has also been confirmed by the other workers. Guidon, why did you fill my bath with blood? I did as the servant of death commanded. She said the emperor gave the first spinner a sign that your lordship should be bathed in the blood of poor Orto, my partner. And I was scared, so I obeyed. The first spinner. Are you talking about the vizier of the blood-spun web? Yeah, that's him. He leads the death cultists, the lot who worship the emperor by killing. His spinners hunt down heretics, but sometimes they take righteous lives too. Their service is mysterious, fervent, and bloody. Did you kill your mutant partner? I didn't kill him, and I didn't know he was a mutant. Orto and I always got along, even if he wasn't much of a one for talking. But then, A servant of death came from the darkness, ended him quick but harsh. She bled him dry, put a black feather in his throat, told me to pump blood into the pipes, and then she left. I wanted to confess, but I was afraid she'd come for me too if I did so." "Whom do you mean by this servant of death?" "A holy slayer in black and crimson and bone. Feared by all they are, quiet and merciless as death itself. They come from the shadows to kill, because the Emperor commands them to do so." "You've already met the servants of the blood-spun web, Lord Captain. Their grim procession is not one the upper decks will soon forget." "Summon the Vizier of the blood-spun web. I wish to hear his explanation." "As you will, Lord Captain." "Your Lordship, if I may ask, what happens to me now? I never meant to anger you. I thought I was doing as the Emperor willed it, but here we are. I'm a simple man. I know pipes, and I know 'em a lot better than all this papal business. My eyes aren't what they used to be, but I can still smell rust and metal, though not so much in people's thoughts." "You acted as a true servant of the Emperor would. I will have you provided with the best ocular implant for your work. After all, I am the one who said the blood-spun web should be allowed to continue operating, and that they were sanctioned, so following their orders is following my orders." "Thank you from the bottom of my heart, your Lordship. I'll serve you faithfully, and I'll never forget your mercy." The Vizier of the blood-spun web treads lightly and silently, as if his old gaunt body has no weight at all. He whispers weakly, "Doman Gladius willed to see me, and so I have come." "I have summoned you to discuss the actions of your apprentices." The Vizier responds in an equally respectful manner, "Let their deeds be weighed." "Investigation has established that the blood-spun web orchestrated an attack on his lordship by means of pouring unholy blood into his bath. This affront—" The old man's murmur drowns out Sourback's relentless voice. "Doman Gladius knows the truth. So it was done, for so I did will. It was no affront, but a prophecy. For my hands to divine, unsullied martyrs offered their souls and bodies into his imperishable embrace. I gazed into the red rivers of their smoldering lives, and I did see a roiling unclean staining the bays, reaching for the anointed Lord of the Ark. In my apprentice's last sighs, I heard the Undying One's whisper. He bid me bathe the Doman in the blood of he who must go, and they who have been righteous, for this will shield the Doman and strengthen his body against the roiling unclean. I obeyed. What do you mean by the roiling unclean? He did not reveal, but it is corruption itself. It offends him. It tastes as sweet as fetid waters and old pipes. Its promises are the deception of an enforcer's smile. Its face is elusive. The man you killed, who was he? I know not. I heard only the name, and I knew he must go. He listens to the empty space above his shoulder and nods. Yes, we need no more knowledge than that. Do you claim you did it because the God Emperor willed it so? I speak, move, and draw breath because he wills so. I defy not the Undying One, neither in death that gifts and takes, nor in my living existence. Master-at-Arms, are you convinced we've found the culprits? The situation is clear, your lordship. Sourback makes the sign of the Aquila. The Emperor has sent us a portent. The protector of mankind guides the hands of his holy servants to guard us and warn us of hidden threats. God, Emperor, I thank thee for protecting us, even though there are instruments of your protection whose purity and holiness I may never understand. Gladius, regardless of how regularly you kneel before an altar, I advise you to take this warning seriously. If I am correct in my suspicion about what is transpiring here, and I pray to the throne I am not, then you can indeed consider this incident a sign that the Emperor is watching over you and this ship. This Monkey has drawn attention to the mutant in a way that could not be ignored. A shrewd tactic, if the threat is indeed as great as he believes. Why so cryptic, Heinrichs? If you have any theories about what's occurring here, share them. My theories are classified information of the Inquisition that I cannot divulge without good reason. If evidence comes to light that confirms my fears, I will disclose everything necessary. If, however, my concern is baseless, I would not wish to share knowledge dangerous to you without cause. The cult of the blood-spun web will face no persecution for their deed. The Vizier freezes, listening to silence, then nods to nothing. Yes, I will tell him. He turns his sewn-shut eyes to you once more. We are seeds in your hands, giver of life. Whether you keep us or scatter us, we will remain grateful. Be that as it may, we have hit a dead end. We hoped that exposing the culprits would lead us to the aberration's lair. Sauerbeck, the investigation must continue. But no spinner or brave warrior from the Doman Circle can find the roots of the unclean, for it can appear as human and act as human. Only its thoughts betray its vile nature. Only its thoughts are never human. Wise. Anxious silence falls the moment Sauerback says this one word. She narrows her eyes. Is it unclean thoughts we need to find? Very well. Let Wise find them. He knows how, no matter how badly he wishes the rest of us forgot about it. Vena Zachary is a fearsome hunter. When he hunts, the flagship wails. When he thinks, my teeth creak, and I can feel pain as if I am young again. But his power is great indeed. He can hunt down our prey. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that not everyone here is eager to leave this matter to Master Wise. I would say the one least eager will be Master Wise himself. Last time, his efforts caused some severe warp manifestations. The ritual truly is perilous. I already have a psyker in my retinue. Adira can perform the ritual. The Vizier listens intently, not to the words of anyone present, but rather to someone invisible and inaudible. I hear you, yes. The witch is weak. Death whispers of many names that it will claim if she is allowed. Names whose time to be erased is not now. How can the choir master of the Astropass be of use to us? The esteemed Zachary Wise can perform the ritual of thought reading. This practice lets him do a cursory examination of the minds of thousands of people in search of certain individuals. The ritual is rare as it is dangerous, and only someone as versed as Master Wise can accomplish such a feat. Has he done something like that before? Once, Lady Theodora made use of his services to expose spies on board, who apparently had been in the employ of Lord Inquisitor Calcazar. Heinrichs clears his throat. As far as I know, the Inquisition's involvement in the matter was never proven. Spreading dubious rumors is a precarious habit that you would do well to abstain from. That is all, Master-at-Arms. Your duty is done. I give you leave to wrap up the investigation on the officer's deck. My duty will be done when the threat is eliminated. I will brief the enforcers while you consult Choir Master Wise, Lord Captain. Okay, wow. So we need to talk to Choir Master Wise, and there is some more stuff that needs to be done there. We have made a level. We still need to return to Footfall and take care of all of the items waiting for us there. But I think we'll have to get into all of those things next time. This has been Disablet. My name is Ed, and this has been Warhammer 40k Road Trader. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, as that helps me out tremendously. And until we see each other again, make your way with love and light, Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today, and goodbye.